Media Network, Arizona's premier live podcast studio and online radio.
What's up, guys? My name is Veronica, also known as Coach V, and I am your host for the ovHER podcast with Live the Dream Media. What's up, guys? Happy Tuesday, and welcome back to another episode of the ovHER podcast. I'm your host, Veronica, also known as Coach V, and we are in for a wild one. You better grab your cafecito, your mimosa, if you're into that on a random Tuesday morning.
Or not dry January.
But it's going to be a really good episode. I'm really excited to catch up with you guys. Before I forget, like lots of little house cleaning things that I got to get off my chest before we cut to a sponsorship break. We have some really amazing sponsors on the podcast. Make sure you guys let them know that we sent them. So Pursuit Fitness, Gourmet Girls, Golden Roofing. Who am I forgetting? There's one more. About Me Hair Studio. Make sure that when you guys give them a follow or you book your appointments, you let them know that Veronica from the ovHER podcast sent them. It makes our relationship stronger. It makes our podcast grow. It lets them know that we are doing our part to make sure that we are sharing all their amazing businesses and all that they provide in the city of Tucson. So make sure you guys let them know that we sent them. So I got a really nice message this morning for one of our sponsors that was like, hey, I got somebody that listened to the podcast. So it made me really happy. Few other things. Don't forget to download the Live the Dream Media app. You guys can download that for free and you can watch the podcast, not just listen to it. So you can see all my fun facial expressions and all the shit that we throw around here and what we're drinking and all that fun stuff. So make sure you guys download that. And then, ¿qué más? A few things for myself, things that are happening within my business. The Galentine's Day workout is happening on Sunday, February 9th, partnering up with Jade and Victoria Jones to bring you guys an amazing workout filled with a woman's mini market. I am dying right now because I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Can we ban a step real quick? She's just... You're like ass backwards. What are you doing?
I'm like, well, it's because the chair kept sliding down. So
this is our guest for the day, guys.
So I was like,
anyway, so don't forget about that. Also, I know it's a little bit last minute, but I have 2 slots available for the Valentine's Day mini boudoir session that is happening this Sunday. If you are interested in that, make sure you shoot me a message wherever you find me. But you guys obviously know who our guest is today. So we're going to cut to a quick sponsorship break and we will be right back.
Se cae la mesa.
All right, guys, you guys know that I have been gluten-free for a few years now. It was a hard transition at first, but that all changed when I met the owners of Gourmet Girls. They are amazing. They are located on North Oracle Road. They have a full gluten-free menu as well as an amazing bakery. I love their biscuits and gravy. And if you have a little bit of a sweet tooth, you got to go in and check out their gluten-free cupcakes. Mine is definitely, my go-to is the carrot cake. And Ernie knows that when it comes to holidays and birthdays, he's got to go over there and get myself a sweet treat. They've got sourdough, pizza dough, gluten-free almond flour tortillas. They've got everything and anything that you need if you are gluten-free. They are amazing and locally owned here in Tucson. Make sure you give them a visit. Again, they are at 5845 North Oracle Road. Tell them Veronica from the ovHER podcast send them so they know that we send you guys. So thank you so much, Gourmet Girls, for being a sponsor on the ovHER podcast. It's the new year and the team at Pursuit Fitness is ready to help you reach all your health and wellness goals. With over 14 in-house personal trainers as well as an in-house PT, an amazing top-notch facility and modern equipment, you can be sure that you'll find a trainer that is a perfect match for you. We cannot wait to work alongside you in helping you reach your fitness goals this year. You can find Pursuit Fitness on Instagram at Pursuit Fitness AZ or call them directly and visit their website at pursuitfitnessaz.com. This episode of the ovHER podcast is brought to you by About Me Hair Studio. With 2 amazing locations in Central and East Tucson, the About Me team is ready to style and serve you. Whether you need a new cut, color, or style, the amazing team at About Me is ready to make this experience all about you. Mention Podcast 10 and get 10% off your first service. I'm really excited to tell you guys all about Golden Roofing AZ. It is the perfect time to get your free roof inspections through the winter so you're not caught scrambling through the dreaded monsoon season. Golden Roofing offers services on any type of roof, tile, shingles, flat, and metal. Make sure you let them know you heard about them on the Oversharing podcast to receive 10% off your repairs. You can find them on Instagram at Golden Roof AZ or contact them directly with their website. Love that for us. All right, guys, we are back for a much needed episode. It's time to sit back, grab a coffee, relax, listening on some chisme. Not that I think that you guys want to know everything that's going on in my life, but sometimes people want to be knowing what's going on in my life, you know?
The fans.
Yep. I wouldn't call them fans, but that makes me feel a little special. Had to bring back Fani because we just have really good chemistry and we are going through a lot of the same things in our lives. So
Yep.
With that being said, let's word vomit this bitch.
Let's do it.
¿Cómo amaneciste, amiga?
Bien. Amanecí. It was weird. I was like, is it 5 yet? Is it 5 yet? And then my alarm didn't go off. I'm like, is it 5 yet?
Is that what time you wake up every day?
No, hell no. But today, yes. I mean, I'm trying. I'm
Yeah.
like manifesting my best self. So I'm like, that bitch wakes up at 5. And
She's got a longer day. Trust me, when you start waking up that early, you live about 3 lifetimes.
Yes.
And then you get to like 6 o'clock and you're like, damn,
Dead.
I still got 4 more hours in this day.
No, honestly, like I feel like that's the thing about like waking up early. You get so much more done in your day, and then
Yeah.
I'm getting back into my fitness life.
girl.
So I had to go to the gym, and I
love that.
I woke up good.
There's some people that work out in the morning and there's some people that work out in the evening. I am a morning girlie.
Morning too. How's your morning?
12 is being generous for me. Like
At 12
like
in the
if-
morning?
No. Like I'm saying, like if I usually say if I don't work out before 12, chances of me getting that workout in are slim to none.
Yeah.
But that's a lie. It's usually like 10 and like I have to find a gap in those 5 hours of being awake, whether a client cancels or I have to make the time to work out. Si no se me hace muy pesado.
Yeah, you wake up early, no?
Super early.
I'll get us. I'm over here like with the fuchi face.
I'm luckily at the place in my life where for business, I don't take a 5 a.m. client anymore.
Oh, okay.
Frowned upon, I'm sure, from other trainers, but I just won't do it anymore. I did it. I've been training for 10 years and I did it for 9. And I think this year I was like, I'm done with 5 a.m.s.
Yeah.
It's such a long day, dude. You have to wake up. I have to leave my house at 4:30. That means I got to wake up at least at 3:50.
That's crazy.
And a lot of like this learning about myself and everything that we're going to talk about today has been like really slowing down.
Yeah.
And enjoying my morning. And the only way that I can do that is like my first client is at 6. And I usually wake up like at between 4:30 and 5. Like I can do it. But on a good day, I have to remind myself, like if you want to have that kind of really slow morning with yourself, I have to wake up at 4:30.
Yeah.
I have to give myself an hour to like wake up. Like I like feeling good. So a little bit of makeup, enjoy my coffee, make my breakfast. Like
And slow, like not like me estoy tragando. Like,
that's
the food.
well, that's the thing is exactly what I had been doing. Is like I'd been waking up with enough time to get everything done super fast. So when I wake up, my cortisol levels are like through the roof immediately. But thank you for asking. My day's been great. Light morning, almost done with cheer season, so that'll be nice to kind
Coach
of.
V.
Yes, we are on our way to nationals. Those of you guys that don't know, I am a cheer coach for high school here in Tucson.
This is crazy. One of my other like coworkers' friends, she used to be a CDO cheer coach back like in 2015,
back when?
16.
We've
something
done
like that.
some really good stuff with the program, and I don't talk about it a lot because one, these girls are like they're underage, you know. So I don't talk about obviously the stories, but man, I got stories. One day when I'm not a cheer coach anymore, I will come on and spill
The tea.
a lot of tea. It's wild, but. We took the program from year 1. I had 9 girls, and this year we have 18.
What year is this?
This is ending year 3.
Year 3.
Yeah, so next year will be my first full finishing class, which is kind of cool. And then they competed 2 weekends ago, and they competed in 2 different divisions. One of the divisions is game day. There was 9 teams. We placed 3rd, and we were
Nice.
0.2 from second place. Yes, it was
That's
awesome.
so good.
Thank you. So I do enjoy it. It's a lot of work, but anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. I really appreciate having you on because again, I feel like we have a lot of the similar. We're going through the same waves of life right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of realization, a lot of manifestation, and a lot of fucking.
And all of the terms. No, thank you for having me on. I always like have a good time chatting with you.
Yeah.
I feel like, we're goofballs. So we're like, and then you can take like some very serious, uncomfortable topics and
Like
make
we
them
can lay
very,
the law,
like,
you know?
Yeah, like, you know, we'll be farting in between the play farting, not like real farting. I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, like, you know, the whole, I feel like what you just said right now, like, it's very relatable of like slowing down.
Yeah.
My cortisol was through the roof like before. And you know how bad that is for your hormones.
1000%.
I know I've seen how you post about hormone health and everything like that. And we don't realize that I'm a very like hustle, ambitious type of person.
Yeah.
But it's weird because like when I took that slow down moment, I was like completely not connected with the hustle and ambition. But I needed that because sometimes like the rest wasn't an option.
Yeah.
I couldn't even celebrate my accomplishments because I was already thinking about something else.
This outline I got right now that we didn't even talk about. We can dive deep right in there with like just the beginning of the year. Like, it's so common, and I feel like I'm in a sticky place with a lot of things in my life, but I feel like it's so common at the beginning of the year to have goals and intentions, and I think that's wonderful. And I did have a few this year, more financial stuff, like I want to be debt-free. Adult thing I did this morning was refinance my car.
Oh, good job, girl.
So like I should be done like with my car payments this year, like stuff like that, like paying off credit cards, getting that stuff situated because I'm in a place that I'm lucky and I get to do so. But I've had to work very hard to get to that place. So there are a few goals, but there was a time a few years ago where I didn't have any goals going into the new year. And I remember Kevin from the gym, who's like super ambitious, very good businessman, works his ass off. Like, he was like, you don't have any goals? And I was like, honestly, no. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think there's like a line here, but again, a lot of the stuff that I'm learning about the series of events that has happened has been like slowing down and appreciating that for a lot of years, this is what I wanted. Like, this is what I prayed for. This is what I worked hard for. And when you're always raising the bar, one, you don't feel like you're seeing progress because you're always raising the bar.
Exactly.
Or two, you forget to acknowledge all the work that you have done.
Yeah.
¿Me entiendes? ¿Me entiendes? ¿Me entiendes?
Totalmente.
So
Totally.
that's kind of where I'm at. Like, but I don't know. Did you have like some goals for the year? Like, what were they?
Yeah. Like this year, well, I'm coming back on my grind moment. I was in my
Sit
don't
back,
talk
relax.
to me. The bitch is off. I'm off.
Do not disturb 24/7.
TNT. Like my phone. I'm like, why do I even have a phone sometimes?
Anyways, I texted you like 8 times this morning. You didn't answer me. I was like, is she even coming?
I'll be like doing my hair and stuff, and like I'll forget that I put it on
Do not disturb.
off ringer.
Yeah.
No, I don't even put on D&D. I just like take it off like the ringer, and I'm just like getting ready, blah blah blah, doing my thing.
The anxiety that causes me.
No, see, and that's after that whole like couple of years I had. It really got me into that place where I'm just like, if anybody needs me and if it's an emergency,
they'll find me.
like they'll find me.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, I don't have any kids right now, so I can pull this off.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, I'll get back to you once I see my phone.
Yeah.
Which takes a long time sometimes.
It's not a bad thing though. It's a boundary.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that reel where it's like, if you didn't call me back in the moment that in the time window that I felt social, like
you're done. I'll see you next month.
Exactly. So I'm coming back on like being a little bit more ambitious, getting my drive back. And, some goals this year. Definitely, I did set some. But more than anything, it's like just kind of have more of an organization of what I want to accomplish this year, but not like I have to get it done pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want to run I'm going to say a half marathon.
Okay.
I think a marathon's a little bit too ambitious.
Yeah.
My knees be hurting.
Girl, same, bruh. Wait, what shoes do you use?
The Hoka Bondi 9.
Te duelen las rodillas? Do your knees hurt regularly?
Normally, yes, but with these shoes,
they don't?
They don't.
I should try it.
Yeah, dude.
I
good.
do. I really enjoy running. I do.
Yeah.
But my body is like,
no.
How about not?
It's like, did you drink your vitamins today?
Did you have enough water?
Water.
We're always a really good balance of like, you're super ambitious this season of your life. And I'm like, I'm not, bruh. I'm just trying to get through another day without crying. It's been rough.
It's because, like I've seen your stories, right? And I think that's the thing. That's the key point. When you are taking that minute to slow down, you really, really, really let what you're like, that soup of whatever Veronica is.
Yeah.
Like simmer. You're feeling it. Like that's, you know, when you long simmer caldos or soup, they taste so good. So it's like, I'm like all fat girl vibes.
Sabes cuando pones el caldo and it simmers. It's so good.
Yes, the longer it simmers, once it's ready, it's like, damn.
Yeah.
So I feel like in this time, like, you know, when you're going through that, it's really important for you to like sit and like feel. And I'm so proud of you that you're like not only being vulnerable and sharing, but you're also feeling it. Because I feel like what you've been through is a lot.
And when I say like sharing, like those of you guys, like I do love oversharing. It's the oversharing podcast, right? There are some things that I do hold a little bit closer to my heart, and I have like a close friends group on Instagram. And if you're on it, it's because it's not that I don't value everybody else. I just really value the people that are in that group because they know me on a very personal level. Like, and those are the people that like when I feel like I need to just vomit, like I do it, and it really does make me feel better. Like when we talk about last week, like last week was rough, and again, we'll get into all this fertility stuff, but I love my husband, but he will never understand, and that's okay with me. And I've had this conversation with other people that I've had on the podcast, and the only way that I can describe it to him and to you guys in that close friends group is like, I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. Totally. And it's so fun. Yeah. But then when it's time to get off, I'm literally like strapped on with locks. And like right when my cortisol level and my guard is coming down and I'm starting to get a little bit relaxed, I look over and the fucking guy at the button is like, again. And I'm like, no, get me off.
It's like that roller coaster when you get on like the really like savage ones and you're like at the top like waiting to come down. You're like, why the fuck?
Yeah,
why
did I do this?
Like, why am I on here? What happened?
It's been rough, but it does make me feel better to talk to people, and because I'm not the only one, and like again, we talk about I've built this podcast and my business and my connections with people on the sole purpose of being raw, vulnerable, and connecting with people.
Yeah, and I think that's why we have such good chemistry because I do like pick that up on you, and it's such a vibe to like. Not only talk to someone and be around someone that's there, but when you're like, even though like you're like front facing on your phone or whatever, you don't see the other side, but they relate, you know, and sometimes it's things that not all of us are trained to talk about our emotions or identify our emotions. And when somebody goes through that, like, I feel like it could pick up on something that maybe you didn't know was there.
And it kind of like, again, so much realization has come with this touchy topic, and we're going to talk about it right now because we'll talk about where you're at in your fertility journey as well. But long story short, those of you that don't know, so me and my husband started trying to have a baby, and we started trying in August. So August no-go, September no-go. We got pregnant in October. So, and again, like no one knows like the full details of it, but we were so fucking excited. And the conversation, now everything seems very gray. Everything. Like when you ask me where I'm at in my life, I feel like I'm in a very gray area and I'm okay with it. But there's come a lot of realizations, and again, we'll talk about a lot of those, but we find out we're pregnant. We're super stoked. That morning that we found out, so like, okay, so like I'll tell you guys a story. So I knew it. Like I knew I knew I was pregnant. I started spotting and I thought it was my period, and then it stopped completely, and I was like, oh, but you're knocked up. The deed is done. And then I waited Friday, on Saturday, and then Saturday at night, I peed like a gazillion times. Like right before I found out I was pregnant, I was like, oh, you are totally knocked up. Sunday morning, I wake up, I go get pregnancy tests. They come out positive. Damn. And I was like, holy shit.
Which is crazy. I can only imagine you felt that moment.
I did like a whole thing for Ernie. It was like a whole thing. He was super excited. And that same day, my mom and my sister came up to Tucson to help me put up the Christmas tree. Oh, so I set everything, like the same thing that I set up for Ernie, I just kind of set it up for them. So they came in the room and I was like, oh, I got this new vanity. Lies. They come in, they see it, and they're like, oh my God. Like we were so excited. At that point, like,
was this November?
This was in November.
Okay, you put your tree up in October,
immediately, we conceived in October. I was pregnant in November. Yeah. So we tell close friends. I mean, you know me and you know my family. Like we tell close friends and family like immediately, like within that week.
Yeah.
And the following Sunday, I miscarried. So I was about 5.5, 6. I was early. It could have been a chemical pregnancy. Like I don't know. I went to the ER. Everything was good. We want to make sure there was no infection and that stuff.
Yeah.
And that was like essentially what happened. So now you have like all this gray area. Now we have to tell our close friends and family that we miscarry. And then we like lots of tears, a lot of tears. Like I don't think I've cried. I cry, but I don't think I had cried that consistently for so long. And my biggest mistake was telling myself, and I tell people all the time, like, I feel like in life, when you go through a breakup, you go through a job change, so anything significant in your life, you can tell yourself like, okay, I'm going to allow myself this space. And then I have to get up and fucking move forward. So I remember on Sunday night, like Ernie was like, he was like, I'm worried about you. Like, are you going to be okay? And I was like, I will be okay. My dumbass. I said, I will be okay by Wednesday. She was not okay by Wednesday. Like it was my, not dumb, but it was my own self convincing myself that was how long it was going to take for me to move past something like this. I have never in my life felt like I don't even know. It's not that I needed a timeline, but I feel like everything that I've done in my life, I've done to like, again, you can cry until then, and then you better fucking pick yourself up and move on. And that was not the case. And if I could go back and just hold her for a little bit longer, I think this process really would have been easier because it dragged along.
I mean, it's a big thing. Like the magnitude of, I feel like you can't understand that loss until you like go through it. You know, like I went through a stillbirth when I was 17, and I had the pregnancy was up until like I was 8 months pregnant. But since I was 3 months pregnant, I knew that the baby had issues. But my thing was, and I always had that, hey, do you want to abort? Like the medical team always asked me that. But I felt like if there was any type of chances that the baby could be fine, like I would not be able to like live with myself if I just, didn't give it a chance. So anyways, at 8 months, like, and I remember like the toughest point for me was when I was 6 months pregnant and I had a checkup and they told me like some organs were really, really like damaged. And the expectancy of the baby having a normal life was really, really small. So that's when I was like, the grief started. And I'm a big like chicken heart. Like, I cried because I lived in Nogales at that point, so we would have to come up to Tucson, and the whole drive back, couldn't stop crying. The next day, couldn't stop crying. And see, my sister gives herself that timeline. Like, I'll give myself these days, and I don't. I'm like, a bitch is feeling the feels.
A bitch is feeling all of it right now. It was hard, dude.
I definitely admire that.
Don't. But I don't admire it. Not anymore.
It gives you strength, right? But
it does.
Then there's certain losses where you just, and I feel like that's the part, like, you never know why you go through certain things. But this is like an amazing like lesson for you, because when you do become a mom, like, girl, you funny if you think you're gonna go through something and you're like, okay, this business, so I'm done. Especially with kids, like it's so different. Like
there was so many learning opportunities in this, and I mean, I've talked to a bunch of different people, but there was 3 big moving parts in this whole thing that really made me sit back, and it was a connection to my faith, like that. I have not felt this connected to my faith, to God, in a long, long time. And that's not saying like I don't believe. It's just like I wasn't doing the things to allow myself to also feel the things that made me feel comfortable in that space of like God, So that was a big thing. I did a somatic therapy session, and the common ground in all of this, like, again, you go through all these waves of like thinking like, what did my body do wrong? What did I do wrong? Right. I was upset at my body for a second. I was like, how dare you? Like I do all the things that you want me to. I exercise, I eat healthy, I protect my hormone, I protect my energy. I try to keep my stress levels low, like all these things. And when I talked to the girl that did my somatic therapy session, her name is Annalise. She's going to come on the podcast in a few weeks.
Nice. I want to learn more about that.
She was awesome. She was like, you know what? She's like, I don't and again, like taking everything with a grain of salt, right? There's so many moving parts here. She's like, I don't think this happened because your body didn't, like, is it able to? Like, that's not what I'm picking up. She's like, and again, this can go to anybody, whether it's your spirituality, God, Buddha, the higher power that you believe in. No one says that it doesn't exist. So whatever it is. And she goes, what I'm feeling. And she said, life has a very funny way of shoulder checking us sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, ugh, like that felt like a knife to the gut. Like, and in a good way though, because it made me realize like, this has nothing to do with your body and not being able. It has everything to do with the way that you have been living your life and understanding that maybe God needed you to understand that this can't happen when you're living your life this way. This can't happen when you're jumping around from thing to thing to thing. This can't happen when you're constantly saying yes, because saying yes to something means saying no to something else. And that has been the hardest thing for me to learn, but it's probably the most immediate thing that I changed. Like immediately, like even last week, someone was like, hey, I need some pictures done like in the next 3 days. I would have jumped on that like nobody's business. And I was like, I can't. It happened yesterday. Someone was like, hey, are you interested in doing this photo shoot? I can't. Like I'm not making the time because I'm realizing now that everything that I say yes to is saying no to something else.
Yeah.
And that's been like a big learning curve for me.
Especially for like, you know, you're saying no to whatever desires you have. And I think that like that kind of picks up on, I've been really big on manifesting, and I know we're getting to that a little bit later, but one of the things is like, you have desires for something, but then also while you're getting there right now, you're doing things that are not aligning
with that.
So what is it like? I feel like the life is like a discovery timeline, right? Like what is it that you're doing? Where is it that you want to go? What is it that you need to drop? Because we're not like baggage carriers, you know.
1000%.
We can't just like throw on pile and pile and pile. And then when you get something like, you know, if your desires are to thoroughly enjoy motherhood when you get there, then there's going to be things that have to change now that in order for you to be there.
And I think that's what the biggest lesson was, that is like, you can do all these things, but you can't have it all in a sense. And I feel like I told you a little bit about like the thought of taking inventory in your life. I heard this on another podcast, and how it's like, she was talking about how when you take inventory of your life, it's not just like, it's not just your friends, your job, your financial situation, your romantic relationships. Like it's everything. Like the way that you're spending your time, and being able to look at your calendar and understand like, okay, what are the things that I do that are draining my energy? And like, obviously sometimes work drains your energy, but you also have to fill in that calendar with like the stuff that does really fill your energy. I'm realizing now I'm so social here at work with my clients, with the cheerleaders. Like when I'm with those girls, I'm in there. Like me and Kira, we're not just like backseat coaches. Like we're on the mat, troubleshooting. I'm with my clients. I'm always talking. I'm picking up weight. I'm here. I'm interacting. Like I'm naturally such a social person, but I'm realizing now that the way that I refuel, Ernie's going to love to hear this, is sitting my ass at home and doing nothing. Yeah. Because, or sometimes it's just like, let me leave the house for an hour and go get a coffee and come back and refuel myself. Yeah. And that may be different for people. Some people may work a job where they're 9 to 5 in front of a computer. They don't socialize, or they work at home with nobody. So how do they refuel? They want to go out. They want to go interact with other people.
I used to take a drive just like when the pandemic started. I started working from home, and it's crazy because I have not been working from home since 2019.
Yeah.
And I never thought that would be me, because my social battery was always super high. Yeah. But like I used to hacerme pendeja. And I would just drive, literally take a drive and then go back home. Yeah. I'm like, well, at least something has to get me in that, you know, mindset. But you know, like nowadays, it's funny because when you were saying that, like I right now I work in our business, like my fiance's and I's business, and I have different responsibilities there, plus taking care of the household, plus taking care of, like, you know, making sure my man has food on the road and everything
trying
like
to get pregnant,
plus taking care of my body because I'm trying to have kids, and then And, you know, the mentality always comes in like, I've never, ever been without a job. Ever.
Yeah.
Like I've had 2-3 jobs, like,
but never
like
none.
crazy, you know, like bananas, like running up here, there, blah, blah, blah. And now, like, everything's taken care of financially.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to worry about it. But then I feel like that
You're like, you should be doing something.
I'm like, I should apply. I even had a dream the other day that I was, that I had a job and I was super happy about it. And I was like, is that a sign? I'm like, or is it just my subconscious? Because I'm so trained to like
be go.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know, I always have like therapy sessions with myself.
Same.
Shut up.
Why are you thinking this?
Yeah.
Let's
exactly.
dig deep.
Let's dig deep. Why do you need it? Are you, like, right? If you were at a job, would it the same like outcome?
That's like a good and bad quality to have. Like you talk yourself out of your crazy, but then someone else could probably still think that you are
crazy,
insane. Yeah,
exactly. So, and then I realized I'm just so mentally trained and psychologically trained that in order for me to feel like successful, I have to have a job. But then that's not the case. Like I have a business. That's my job.
It comes with the planner part of you.
Yeah.
Which same. And that was the other thing too. Like one of my sister's coworkers was like, asked her like if I was okay after the miscarriage. And my sister, me and my sister, I mean, I love probably the people that have cried the most are me, my mom, and my sister. Like I was having a rough week last week and I called my mom and I was a mess. Like, and she was like, I could hear her crying on the other side. And I'm like, I love my mom, but she also doesn't know how to approach that. You know, her thing is like, it's going to be okay. And like, let's move away from it. And I'm at the point where I'm like, I can't move away from it. Like I need to drown myself in this for a little bit longer and it gets better. But my sister was like, you know, I think what slapped you in the face was that you're a planner. And that, again, all these moving parts tied in together. Again, like the connection with God, the therapy session that I had, and learning to let go of like, this isn't going to work the way that you want it to on your time. Like this isn't how, like, and in my head now I'm like, it doesn't even matter. Like last month I was like, okay, if I get pregnant this month, we're going to be in a wedding. I'm either going to be 9 months pregnant at this wedding or I'm going to have a 3-week-old. What the fuck am I going to do? And then I have to talk myself back and be like, it's none of your fucking business what you're going to do.
Yeah. I mean,
you're not there yet.
It's like I feel like we've always been on the driver's seat, and when you like let go of that,
God's like, move over.
Are you sure?
Jesus is like, I'm not even telling you where the blinkers are going.
I know. It's like, I feel like that's like the number one part of like going through this whole like, you know, sitting and resting. It's like letting go. Yeah. Letting go of being in the driving seat,
that's
which
hard,
is
dude.
Crazy.
That's wild for me. That's wild.
Like the wild, wild west over here.
Guns shooting. There's dirt in the air. The horses are going really fast.
And you're just supposed to sit there and be like, you know, like the pageant wave, like, hey, I don't know how to do that. Like,
you're like, another month? All right.
Yeah. It's like,
no baby yet? Cool.
I know. I'm like, well, okay, well, I guess we'll just keep practicing.
Wait, pause on practicing. That's like literally perfect on practicing. We have to cut to a sponsorship break, guys. I'm sorry. The vibes are vibing. We'll be right back. All right, guys, you guys know that I have been gluten-free for a few years now. It was a hard transition at first, but that all changed when I met the owners of Gourmet Girls. They are amazing. They are located on North Oracle Road. They have a full gluten-free menu as well as an amazing bakery. I love their biscuits and gravy, and if you have a little bit of a sweet tooth, you've got to go in and check out their gluten-free cupcakes. Mine is definitely, my go-to is the carrot cake. And Ernie knows that when it comes to holidays and birthdays, he's got to go over there and get myself a sweet treat. They've got sourdough, pizza dough, gluten-free almond flour tortillas. They've got everything and anything that you need if you are gluten-free. They are amazing and locally owned here in Tucson. Make sure you give them a visit. Again, they are at 5845 North Oracle Road. Tell them Veronica from the Oversharing Podcast send them so they know that we send you guys. So thank you so much, Gourmet Girls, for being a sponsor on the Oversharing Podcast. It's the new year, and the team at Pursuit Fitness is ready to help you reach all your health and wellness goals. With over 14 in-house personal trainers, as well as an in-house PT, an amazing top-notch facility, and modern equipment, you can be sure that you'll find a trainer that is a perfect match for you. We cannot wait to work alongside you in helping you reach your fitness goals this year. You can find Pursuit Fitness on Instagram at Pursuit Fitness AZ, or call them directly and visit their website at pursuitfitnessaz.com. This episode of the Oversharing podcast is brought to you by About Me Hair Studio. With 2 amazing locations in Central and East Tucson, the About Me team is ready to style and serve you. Whether you need a new cut, color, or style, the amazing team at About Me is ready to make this experience all about you. Mention Podcast 10 and get 10% off your first service. I'm really excited to tell you guys all about Golden Roofing AZ. It is a perfect time to get your free roof inspections through the winter so you're not caught scrambling through the dreaded monsoon season. Golden Roofing offers services on any type of roof, tile, shingles, flat, and metal. Make sure you let them know you heard about them on the Oversharing podcast to receive 10% off your repairs. You can find them on Instagram at Golden Roof AZ or contact them directly with their website.
You're listening to the Live the Dream Media Network, Arizona's premier live podcast studio and online radio.
Y'all, we took a full-on twinkle break.
Twinkle,
Hey,
twinkle.
this red hair makes me look extra white on this screen.
Does it?
Yeah, I think we need to fix the contrast a little bit. Maybe next time. That's all right.
bright
Still
like
look
a
cute though.
diamond. You're
Speaking of
glowing.
fucking,
Oh yeah.
are you guys
that
actively
part.
trying? What's happening?
Yeah, so I got off of birth control for like a while ago.
Okay.
Because I wanted to clean my
I love
body.
to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
You know, the hormone stuff, just clean your body. It's crazy how much like impact it takes on you. So I got off of it a while ago, but I wasn't actively trying.
Yeah.
And we've been actively trying. I want to say about
the same time?
about summer last year.
I just think it's crazy. Okay, it's not crazy. It's just, I feel like growing up, especially Hispanic,
Yeah.
like if you have sex, you're going to get pregnant.
Exactly, yeah, but
And
that's
that's
not
not
the
how
life
that goes.
we live now.
Yeah,
Especially like looking at all of the food, all of the chemicals, shampoo, deodorant, beauty
Everything.
stuff. Like I didn't know.
My mom asked me. She was
Yeah.
like, "Why?" Oh no, Ernie's mom was like, "Why is it that like women are struggling like to get pregnant? Like that was not a thing we." And I said, "Because you guys didn't have to deal with all the stuff that's in processed food now." Like the plastics, like all these endocrine disruptors is what
Yeah.
they're called. So I
Yeah.
explained that to her of like, it doesn't matter how hard you try to live like a non-toxic life. It is impossible to live 100%
100%.
non-toxic. Like, let's be honest, this coffee we're drinking right now,
It's so good, though.
yeah, it's yummy, but like it's in plastic, you know, like
Yeah, exactly.
there's only so much that you can do. We'll talk
Right.
a little bit about the stuff that I like wrote down in my head that could be helpful, but there's only so much that you can do with like living fully non-toxic. There's no way that you would be able to walk outside and live a non-toxic life.
Yeah, no, it is. And then like back then, I mean, we've literally been raised on this crap since we were
Yeah.
little. And back then, let's say like they did get introduced to it at a certain age, but it wasn't since like childhood, like being in it since childhood. Like we've been having all of this stuff in our body, like
Since the beginning.
yeah. So I personally, like, I felt like I've had certain issues with like my body, like with the circulation or lymphatic, like, you know, I'm like, okay, I can be a little bit more proactive with, you know, making sure that my body is doing what it needs to do. And you said something about like, you know, when you went through it, you were super critical of your body because of like, is it not doing what it's supposed to do? And I feel like when you're going through this process, that's the number one thing that women like go through. Because I went through that. Like, is my body okay?
Is she okay?
Even my mom was like, ay, ¿por qué mis hijas batallan tanto para tener hijos?
You're
You
like,
know?
let me tell you, mom.
I'm like, well.
But it's not just tus hijas. Like, it's like a lot of people are struggling with infertility. It's not. And the thing is, too, it's not a one size all fits approach. Like, one size fits all approach. Like, it's not that way because everyone's imbalances are different if they have them. I always tell people too, like, if you've been on birth control for 12 years, do you think that you're just going to get off birth control and be okay for another 12 years? No, you were literally putting synthetic hormones in your body for 12 years. It's going to take a little bit for your body to regulate and realize what the hell is going on in there.
Exactly. And like I started trying like last year, but I remember when even like the doctors or anything would ask me, I'm like, I want to have a child like next year.
Yeah.
You know, so I felt like I kind of was mentally preparing myself for it not happening right away. I think that I have gone through those phases, like, you know, even like not too long ago, was it December? Yeah. November or December, I can't remember. I went in for a pelvic check, an exam, which I'm flabbergasted that you don't, like now they're not saying, like the medical professionals are saying, you don't need to get a pap in like within 5 years, every 5 years. I'm like, if I go one time and then like in the next 2 years I develop something, like I'd be dead by the time I have another pap smear.
There's a lot of stuff that's real fucked up with our medical system.
Which you really have to like advocate for yourself. Yeah. Like this is a number one thing where you got to be the pain in the ass. Like I told doctors, I don't trust the medical system. Like I don't trust you guys. I literally, every time I come here, it's like, well, maybe we can get you on birth control.
Maybe you guys should go see Dr. Laura Villa because she's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like that's where you start advocating for yourself and you start taking less traditional route. But I felt like when I went through that, the doctor thought maybe I was having some issues. You know, during intimacy, there was certain things that weren't.
The vibe wasn't
like
vibing.
The vibe was like different.
Yeah,
I'm like that's different, and went in for a pelvic exam, and then the doctor was like, I do feel a little something like that could have an issue, like something that to do with that. And she had me go in for an ultrasound to do a fibroid check because she thought maybe I had a fibroid. Yeah. Which when I was
fibroid, something along the lines.
Fibroid, which is like a little fatty lump or whatever on your uterus, which is really, really common. Yeah. And it could disturb pregnancy. So, I mean, me, you know, I'm like a research type of girl. And I'm like, Google, I'm like, my chat
Am I going to die tomorrow or next week? Google.
My chat GPT, I'm like, what does a fibroid thing do to like pregnancy
and fertility?
Blah, 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 blah. Girl, like I'll go down the rabbit hole.
Man. We could talk about that all day.
From there until the day I had the ultrasound, it was like 4 weeks. And I'm like,
you're psyching yourself out.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, guess I'll just be patient and Google the shit out of this. Yeah. So now I'm a pro expert on fibroids. I'm just kidding.
See me for all your fibroid problems.
Hit my DMs. I got you. I know
exactly what you're doing. Wrong.
Pro tip. Pro tip, my super Mexican tia, which I love, she was like,
Ponte Vicks.
No, thank God. Romero, mijita. Planta de romero. Hazte un tecito de romero todos los días, and that'll clean you out and flush you out. And I did take it for like 2 days. Yeah. You know, I was like, but then
you
my
gotta
ultrasound.
Follow along with a little bit of the Mexican stuff, you know?
It wasn't that bad. It's strong, but I went in for the ultrasound, did the whole thing, and then waiting for the results. I felt super emotional. Like, going in for an ultrasound while not being pregnant was so weird.
Bruh.
I was like, am I gonna be able to have kids? Am I okay?
Yeah, like you start thinking of everything.
Yeah, like is my body okay? And I feel like you become super critical, but that's when you have to double down and like be like,
gotta trust.
My body is going to do what it needs to do, but it's a process. It's that roller coaster.
It's the same conversation of like, just because I trust God's plan, just because I trust the timing of my life, just because I trust that these things happen to teach us things, whatever, it doesn't mean that it's not hard.
Right.
And that was, again, a big learning curve for me, was like a gray area. You can trust God, you can trust his timing, you can understand that these things happen. You can trust your higher power, your spirituality, you can trust your body, you know that it's going to heal itself from the inside out. But it doesn't mean that it's not hard.
It's hard. It's hard. It's hard going through all of it. And like, this is where I want to say, like, I transitioned to where I'm at now because, so like going in a little bit into like manifesting, manifesting, I feel like there's many like ways you could look at it. For me, I've just been like, I'll be Delulu for real.
I'd rather be Delulu, boo boo.
Forget Google, forget ChatGPT. I'll be Delulu until the Salulu comes, you know?
I love that so much. Like, we be Delulu till the Salulu comes.
For real, because many of the times, like, I feel like I've wanted to fix it, take control of this.
Yeah.
Because I'm stubborn.
Girl.
I'll be like, you put a rock there, shoo, I'll go here. You put a rock there, I'll go here. I'll get my 4x4. I'll be like, I'll get over it.
It's like almost wanting to learn so much that you can self-diagnose yourself, which is probably not a good thing, you know?
Doing surgery on yourself. I could do this. No,
I could do it too.
YouTube. Oh, I almost died because I YouTubed how to change like a whole like lighting thing in my house. And the house was like really, really, really old. So everything was going well until I go to the fuse box. And then the fuse box... It wasn't the regular fuses. It was the light bulb.
The circles?
The light bulb fuses. And I was like, oh,
you're like, can't fix that.
I Googled it. Nothing.
They said, get a new fuse box.
So then my smart ass was like, well, and I've been shocked electrocuting.
Por eso estamos como estamos, amiga.
Okay, I got the vibe. And I'm like, if I get a cloth glove, it'll like cut the contact where the heck. So I go in there, I take that thing off, I killed the electricity on that.
Yeah.
Then I go in with the fucking wires and I'm like, Lord, si me dejas librar esta, I swear to God I'll stop cursing less.
Jesús.
I'm like, please, let me not die. I just want a new light fixture. I just want it to look pretty in here. So I didn't die.
Thank God.
But that's where I'm like, I will literally do stuff until the point where I could have gotten really hurt.
Yeah.
That's how I know God, like I have a long life to live. Because if not, I'm not going to die.
He would have taken me already.
I would have died.
I'm dead.
So anyways, but like going into like the whole like manifesting part, it's like a lot of the times it's our mindset, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that it takes you through is like when you trust that what you desire is going to come to fruition.
Yeah.
Then it starts to become this thing of like aligning yourself to that, and then you start realizing what is it that you're doing that isn't
aligning,
getting you there.
Yeah.
Like this, what is it that you have to accept? What fears do you have inside of you?
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, for a very, very, very long time, I feared of repeating the mistakes that happened with me, with my mom.
Yeah.
Like I was so gung ho on, I'm going to be the best mom. I'm going to heal this and heal that and break this and break that. And I'm not going to put my kids through this. Like,
and you're like, I haven't even gotten there. How would I know?
There. I've literally like done everything so that when my kid comes here, I will have like a perfect way to deal with everything. But then I'm like, that's nonsense.
No, because you don't know the way that you're going to have to deal with whatever it is.
Exactly.
I think it's, again, so many learning curves. The biggest thing, obviously letting go with being the biggest thing for me.
Right.
I keep telling myself, it'll happen. I keep telling myself, like, I trust that it'll happen. When and why and how is none of my business. And that's the only thing that I keep telling myself.
Yeah.
I know it'll happen. It doesn't mean it's not hard when another month passes by. But when, how, it's none of my business. Like, it's just like, I kind of got to let it go. We also, like, I told Ernie this month, like, the logic in my brain is like, one, like you get your period and then you go through like 2 weeks of like this like rough wave, and then you kind of get over it there for a week.
I saw your
y lo ñacas otra vez. You start your period again. So I told Ernie, I was like, I think that I don't want to look at an app. I don't want to track. I don't want to do anything. If we're feeling hot and bothered and the opportunity presents itself, cool. And it happens, wonderful. But I feel like for the next couple months, I really need to almost like detox from the idea of getting pregnant. And the only way that happens for me is like if I'm not even actively trying, like at all.
Well, that's a good way to.
And I don't know if this will be helpful to other people that might be going through the same thing, and it might be helpful for you because we're like in that same wave of like every month. But every month that I don't get pregnant, I try to give myself a few things that will get me through, like the pros and the cons, right? Which is mostly like drinking and shit, but it's helping for me right now. Like, for example, the girls are going to nationals in a few weeks. We're going to Disneyland.
Nice.
If I would have gotten pregnant this month, I wouldn't have drank in Disneyland, gotten on the rides in Disneyland. You know, like there'd be limitations. So I'm like, okay, you're not pregnant this month. You're good to go to Disneyland and you're going to have a really good time at the Tucson Rodeo with the girlfriends. Like, it's going to be so much fun. And then the following month, we're going to Vallarta. So I'm like, if I don't get pregnant that month, I'm going to get to enjoy myself some margaritas on the beach and some piña coladas, and it's going to be fine. Like, and then the following month is April. And if I don't get pregnant in April, I'm going to get fucked up for my 30th birthday. Like, I just keep telling myself, I know that I shouldn't associate it with just alcohol, but I keep allowing myself to create some kind of comfort. Yeah, speaking of dry January, which was on the list.
Moist? No, just kidding. Humid?
I had like
humid
this
January?
much of a drink. Humid January.
I went to Guadalajara. I was like, there's no way I'm coming over here.
The
like,
food looks so good.
Dude, the food and the cantaritos. Oh, so good.
Yeah, you can't turn up like a good like cantarito.
Yeah. But I mean, I agree with you. Like for me, my approach is, I'm not pregnant yet. I'm gonna sleep. I'm gonna take care of myself. Yeah. I honestly I feel like, you know, I poured into the business, and when I feel like I could be a little bit hyper focused, which is kind of weird because like I could be bien despistada because of my creative, like artistic side is like either
or you're
super
super zoned in
or super zoned in.
Middle.
And with the business, I was like so zoned in because of for that first year. But then now I'm like, okay, like I get back to myself, like, you know, look pretty, feel pretty. I did get a little bit of baby Botox and
you
a little
look good
lip
all the time,
flip.
girl.
Thanks. But you know, I'm like, well, let me do this. Like, let me take care of me. Let me do things for me that I feel like I'm not going to be able to do full force when the baby comes,
here.
which I still want to create these habits so that when the baby does
you're
get
still taking
here,
care of yourself.
I'm still taking care of myself. I feel with me, it's a little different, in a sense of like, I feel like the same approach. Like I haven't really been actively trying. I'm just like taking my prenatals, this and that, my vitamins. But every month that my period comes, like I don't feel heartbroken.
Yeah.
That doubt that I did have is kind of faded out because I'm 34 and my man's a little bit older. So I'm like, maybe it's like not for us. But I heard this podcast and it said, if something wasn't meant to be for you, you wouldn't want it. It's just a matter of letting things be and play out the way that it needs to play out. Because if it wasn't meant for you, you wouldn't
desire it. Yeah.
And then the other thing is like, if we look at it, like I believe in God, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm very open-minded when it comes to this whole like spirituality and the universe. It's like you make a soul contract when you come to the world, and you sign contracts with all of the people who are involved in your whole lifetime. Like you're going to play out this role, you're going to play out this role, you're going to play out that role, which that helped me really like heal things that I wasn't under the control of. Like my soul needed to go through certain things, and I made this pact when I got here before I got here that
these were the things that I was going to have to go through.
Yeah, and I was okay with that. So that made me feel okay with a lot of things that have happened. But that is also happening for those babies that are coming our way. Like their souls they're still doing what they need to do before they get here. And one of the things, like, as I've been like really thinking about being very positive, manifesting like that life and that me that I want to be, I've been looking at like just things that are really like, how can I say it? That they're proving that what I want is coming. When I went to Guadalajara, so my man and I, we talked about baby names last year, maybe a year ago, before we started trying, and he landed on the name Valentina. We feel like we're gonna have a girl,
a little Valentina.
Yeah, since the beginning. I feel like she's gonna get clowned. I'm like, Tapatio, Cholula, Valentina. Like, how could you not? You know what I mean? I'm like, my poor baby, she's gonna be clowned.
No, she's not. We live in Tucson. Half the people are white.
That's true.
So she'll only get clowned half the time.
Yeah, I know. She's gonna have.
They'll be like, hey, come over here, you little spicy pepper.
Her mom is a spicy Latina, self-proclaimed. Yeah. So anyways, the name, we always refer to her as Valentina. And when I went to Guadalajara, literally everywhere I looked, I saw the name Valentina. It was like a pizzeria named Valentina. And then a jewelry store I went to, there were so many jewelry stores. We went to El Centro Joyero. And one of the spots that I landed on, it had like these like chains, and it had like mama, blah, 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 blah.
Valentina.
And Valentina there, I was like, okay,
she's
girl,
coming.
I hear you.
We're waiting.
I'm like, mom's ready for you. Whenever you want to pop in or pop out.
Yeah, legit, in or out. I get that. I think that there is a lot of power in manifestation. People interpret it all the time. Again, it's prayer, manifestation, spirituality, but no one's saying that it's not real, you know?
Right.
So whatever it is that sits with you in your heart is like, is what it will be, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I feel like connecting it to, you know, like what we've been taught in religion or biblically, God says, ask and you shall receive, right? So it's like, I asked for it. I'm just going to wait for it to get here.
Yeah.
Like and to be so like, as it's a matter of fact.
Yeah.
That's why I say like Delulu will be my
Delulu
Salulu.
until you're Salulu.
Yeah.
We need a sticker that says that.
I don't care if I'm playing myself. Like I'd rather be feeling good that I'm like going through this, even if I'm playing myself, than be miserable.
1,000%.
You know? So I'm like,
that. I saw another TikTok the other, and it was again that like last week, and last week was rough, but it was a TikTok, and I sent it to my sister-in-law, and it said like, every month that passes, and it was also like very biblical, was like every month that passes, you just have to remember that like your babies and those souls are spending a little bit extra time in heaven with your loved ones. And I was like, God,
I saw that too.
Yeah, I was like literally like walking on the treadmill and just like, it was such a hard week for whatever reason. Oh, I know why. It's because I started my period. I was like, this sucks. Like,
I saw that and I'm like, oh, I love that.
It gets better. It gets better with time, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I think that, you know, everything like, I know it's hard to say this. Everything happens for a reason, but
I believe it.
When you're going through that manifestation, like you won't be to the place where you're like, I'm going to make this happen, and that conviction until you go through those parts that you just want to heal or whatever it is that you want to go through. So it's good to have that time to say, no, right now we're going to heal this. It's not about growing and making stuff happen. This is about just healing and hugging myself and hugging my life and being appreciative. Yeah.
I always say often like meet yourself where you're at. And I know that I say it to a lot of clients in a very like lifestyle wellness way, like in that realm. But I really do feel like when I say meet yourself where you're at, like that can be anywhere in your life. And that's honestly like, I am meeting a version of myself that I never thought would ever exist. I'm meeting a version of myself that is being forced to take a back seat and let life unravel. Like, and that's hard. That's really hard for me. But it's almost like in my head, I'm like, you don't have a choice. And if you don't do this now, you're never going to, you know?
It's like, I feel like that part of you is so necessary to be like up and at 'em, like in the real, like, because part of being, I feel like being a mother, you're gonna have to take a backseat in a lot of different things. Like my biggest thing was like, if my kid goes to school and they get like beat up or something, I'm gonna go fight those little kids. Like
you're gonna
be in jail.
Yeah, I'm going to prison. I'm dead. I was gonna tell you something else that I forgot before we wrapped up. ¿Qué te iba a decir?
Mentira.
No, it was something about, I don't know. I kind of slipped my mind. I don't know what it was. The meeting yourself where you're at. There was something else that I wanted to say that I forgot. I don't know. I feel like everyone, again, like I hope people listen to this episode and like everyone interprets things differently. Everyone interprets so many different phases of their life differently. And what I've learned, especially like with myself and going through this, is like there is no right and wrong way. Whatever feels best for you is what that is.
And trust that what you are going through is what you need to go through.
I know what I was going to tell you. This pisses me off. No, like I'm going to say it, and I hope it doesn't come off the wrong way, because I get how this is frustrating to people. But when I posted about the miscarriage, and I didn't keep that to close friends, I posted on my Instagram. I had over 100 messages in my inbox within a matter of like 4 hours. 100. Like I told her, and I was like, I don't want to open any of these because I want to open and acknowledge every single person that messaged me. And if you've ever messaged me on Instagram, like, and I don't know you, I will never just be like, like I try to give you good, valid responses because I'm a human being and that's what I appreciate from people. But I feel like when people, and again, this is the start of like this journey for us. Like we're like 6 months in and this is hard.
Right.
And I understand how like over time, like the longer that this takes and the harder that it becomes.
Yeah.
But I also feel like when people are like, I hate it when people are like, trust God's timing or, you know, like, and I'm like, I understand that. And I can definitely see a world where that makes you feel so like,
close
you'll
off,
never understand, you know, like, but in my head, like, I feel like with anything that happens in your life, if you can genuinely try to interpret that whatever somebody is saying to you is coming from a place of care.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like, I've heard it all. Trust God's timing. Let it go. Stop trying. Reassess. You know, like I've heard it all. So I just want to say, like, if you've ever reached out, I genuinely do appreciate that.
Yeah. And I mean, I know like it's just when you're healed, you're going to hear things and they're not going to get to you. It's not going to be a personal thing anymore. So just be cognizant of where you are in life. Maybe it still hurts. You got to heal it. Let it go.
Heal it and let it go, sister. Y ahí vamos a terminar porque se acabó.
Yeah.
You guys, thank you guys so much. Thank you for coming, friend.
Thank you.
A la otra.
Yeah.
We'll catch up. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye.